The sound of waves hitting the shore used to calm me, but today it matched the pounding in my head. I stood in the living room of my beach house, staring at my phone in shock. There were over 50 reviews on the Airbnb listing for my house, starting 3 months ago, the same time my brother Mark had asked to use it for his honeymoon. Beautiful oceanfront home, perfect for a romantic trip, one review said. Host Mark was so helpful, another one read. My hands shook as I scrolled through photo after photo of my private home being shown off online like a rental. I'm Sarah Mitchell, 34, and until now, I thought I was just being a good sister by letting my younger brother stay in my beach house for his honeymoon. The house, a modern 3-bedroom place with a view of the Pacific in Malibu, was something I worked so hard to get. I'd spent years doing 80-hour weeks as a lawyer, giving up weekends, relationships, and sleep to make it mine. When Mark called me 3 months ago, he sounded emotional. I couldn't say no. Sarah, please, he said. Amanda and I can't afford a nice honeymoon. 2 weeks at your beach house would mean so much. You're never there anyway with your crazy schedule. I said yes, of course. That's what family does, right? I even filled the fridge and had the place cleaned for them. Now I understood why Mark had been so eager to get the extra keys. Why he asked so many questions about my job. Why he was curious about the security system. My phone buzzed. Another review just came in. Great weekend spot. Mark was a great host. Very responsive. Can't wait to return. My stomach dropped. This wasn't just one time. My brother had been renting out my private home like a business, without asking me. I tapped through more photos. There were my grandmother's vases, my custom furniture, even my own bedroom being shown as a luxury ocean view suite. The price? $750 a night. I did the math and felt sick. He had probably made over $50,000 already. My hands shaking, I called Mark. Straight to voicemail. Of course, he was probably busy playing hotel manager. I sent a text instead. We need to talk. Now, about the business you're running out of my house. 3 dots popped up, then disappeared. Then again, finally. It's not what you think. I let out a bitter laugh. Not what I think. The proof was right there, his smiling face on the host profile. Another message. You're never there anyway. I'm just using it smartly, helping the family. Family. He always used that excuse when he wanted something, like when he crashed my car in college, or when he needed money for his failed restaurant idea. Family had always been his excuse, and I always believed it. Not this time. I opened my contacts and called my best friend Emma, who's a real estate lawyer. You're not going to believe this, I said, my voice shaking. Try me, she replied. I could hear her moving papers at her desk. Mark's been renting out my beach house on Airbnb for 3 months, without telling me, making money off it. She stopped moving papers. He did what? I told her everything, the honeymoon story, the keys, the listing I just found. Emma listened closely, and I could almost hear her thinking. Sarah, she said, this is serious. He didn't just break your trust, he broke the law. That area needs permits, insurance, and taxes for short-term rentals. As he even reported the income. I hadn't thought about that. Probably not. You need to shut it down now, she said. Save everything. Screenshot the listing, reviews, text with Mark. Then go look at your legal options. Legal action. Against my own brother. The thought made me feel sick, but what else could I do? Just then, Mark sent another text. I know I should have told you, but you're always so strict about the house. I was just trying to help with money. Amanda and I need it. Of course, Mark always needs something. Always takes. Never asks. I remembered all the times I helped him, paying his rent, covering Mom's medical bills, even putting money into his failed business ideas. And this is what I got in return. I spent the next hour collecting everything. My lawyer brain kicked in. Screenshots of the listing, all the photos, saved reviews. Each bit of proof made me more angry. He didn't just betray me, he let strangers into my safe space and made money from it. My phone rang. It was Amanda, Mark's wife. I let it go to voicemail. I couldn't deal with her right now. She probably knew the whole time, maybe even helped. The voicemail alert popped up, against my better judgment. I heard Mark's voice on the phone. Sarah, please, let me explain. He told me, We didn't mean to hurt you. We plan to tell you once we saved enough for a down payment on our own house. Please don't do anything rash. A down payment? They were using my property to save for their house? The nerve of it. I had to see the damage for myself. I grabbed my keys and drove to the beach house. The drive was long, and I had no idea if anyone was staying there. My own house, and I didn't even know who was inside. When I arrived, I saw unfamiliar cars in the driveway. My stomach dropped. Guests were there. I stood at the door, unsure whether to knock or use my key. Before I could decide, the door opened and a couple stepped out. They froze when they saw me. "Are you Mark's sister?" the woman asked, smiling. I replied, "Actually, I'm the owner of this property. My brother had no right to rent it out." They looked surprised. "But we paid for the whole week." "I'm sorry, but you need to contact Aaron for a refund," I said, handing them my business card. The listing wasn't authorized. "Should we leave?" they asked. I sighed. This wasn't their fault. "You can stay until tomorrow morning. I'll need the keys then." They nodded, relieved, and went back inside. I texted Mark. "I'm at the beach house. Met your guests. We need to talk today." He replied quickly, "On my way. Please don't do anything drastic." I walked around the house, taking note of the changes: new locks, security cameras, and a "Welcome to Paradise" sign. My blood boiled. He hadn't just rented it out, he turned it into a business. I walked inside, noticing bins labeled with things like beach supplies and cleaning materials. It felt like a hotel now. I sat down, waiting for Mark. The waves crashed outside, matching my frustration. An hour later, Mark showed up, looking nervous. "Can we talk about this?" I turned to him. "Let's talk about how you've been running a rental business in my home without permission, how you've made thousands off it." He looked uncomfortable. "I can explain." I wasn't waiting for explanations anymore. "You've made over $50,000 from my property, Mark. Tell me how that's not stealing." "It wasn't stealing," he said, looking guilty. "I maintained the house, kept it clean. I even made some improvements." "Improvements?" I asked, pointing to the security cameras and new locks. "You've made my home into a business, Mark." He tried to defend himself. "The reviews have been great. People love it here." "It's not your business to run," I snapped. "This is my home." Mark lowered his voice. "I was going to tell you once we saved enough for our house. Just another month or two." "Another month?" I couldn't believe it. "You thought you could keep doing this, without permits, taxes, or insurance?" He looked pale. "I thought I was handling that." "Well, you weren't. What you've been doing is illegal. You could be facing charges," I told him. "Charges?" He sounded worried. "You wouldn't do that to me, Sarah. We're family." "Family doesn't do this to each other," I said firmly. "You've let strangers into my home. You've broken my trust." He looked ashamed. "I didn't think about the risks." "Of course you didn't," I said. "If something happened, I could have lost everything." Mark hesitated. "I'll cancel the bookings and take down the listing." "You're going to do that anyway," I said. "But first, I want to know exactly how much money you made and where it went." Mark opened the Aram app and showed me the numbers. He'd made nearly $65,000. "Where's the money?" I asked. He shifted uncomfortably. "Most of it went to pay off wedding debt and furniture for our apartment. We saved about $30,000 for the house." "I want it all back," I said. He looked desperate. "We don't have it all." "And what about the work I did? Managing everything?" "Maintenance you weren't authorized to do," I reminded him. "You're lucky I'm not involving the authorities." "Please," he begged. "We can work something out. Maybe I could pay you a percentage of the earnings, or we could become partners." I stared at him. "You're still trying to turn this to your advantage." Mark seemed to think I was interested. "The place has great reviews. With your ownership and my management." "Stop," I interrupted. "This isn't a negotiation, Mark. Take down the listing now. This is illegal, and it ends today." He finally seemed to get it. "I'll need to tell Amanda." "Yes, you will," I said. "And I want all the keys back." I finally stood up to him. Finally stopped enabling his behavior. "I'm really sorry," he said quietly, placing the keys on the counter. "I never meant for it to go this far." "I know," I replied. "That's always the problem. You never mean for things to get out of hand, but they always do. And I'm done picking up the pieces." He walked toward the door, then turned back. What about Mom's birthday next week? Should I not come? I hadn't even thought about that, how this would affect family gatherings, holidays, and relationships. But I couldn't let that sway me now. That's up to you, I said. But if you do come, don't expect me to pretend everything's fine. No more keeping secrets to protect you, Mark. Those days are over. After you left, I sat in my living room, listening to the waves and thinking about everything that had happened. The guests upstairs were quiet, probably staying out of the drama below. I couldn't blame them. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. How did it go? I looked around at my beach house, my sanctuary that had been violated by my own brother's greed and thoughtlessness. It's handled, I wrote back, but I might need your legal help after all. Can we meet tomorrow? Her response was quick. Of course. My office, 9 a.m. Bring all the documentation. I settled deeper into my couch, feeling drained but resolute. For the first time in our lives, Mark was going to have to face real consequences for his actions. And for the first time, I wasn't going to shield him from them. The sun was setting over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, legal meetings, difficult family conversations, the process of reclaiming my space. But for now, I just sat there, watching the waves and knowing I'd finally done the right thing. The next few days were a blur of legal meetings and family drama. As expected, Mark told his side of the story to our parents before I could explain mine. By the time I arrived at Emma's office Monday morning, my phone was already buzzing with messages from family members. Did you really threaten to have your brother arrested? My mother's text read, He made a mistake, Sarah. Don't you think you're overreacting? I ignored it, focusing on the stack of documents Emma had laid out, bank statements, earnings records, property regulations, everything we needed for the case. The good news, Emma said, adjusting her glasses, is that Mark took down the listing and started processing refunds. The bad news is he's only transferred about $15,000 back so far. Let me guess, I sighed. That's all they have left. She nodded. According to the records, most of it went to pay off their wedding debt and furnish their apartment. The rest was for the house down payment, but they've already spent some of that too, I finished. Typical Mark, spending money before he had it. My phone buzzed again. It was Amanda. Please, Sarah, we can explain. Mark is devastated. Can we meet for coffee? I showed Emma the message. What do you think? Legally, I'd advise against any private meetings right now. But personally, she took off her glasses, looking at me with sympathy. This is family. Sometimes it's worth hearing them out. I thought about it. Amanda had always been the more responsible one in their relationship. Maybe she could help reason with Mark about repaying the money. Fine, I texted back. Tomorrow morning, the cafe on 4th. Emma gathered the documents. Just remember, anything you say to them could affect our legal position if this goes to court. You really think it might go that far? She gave me a serious look. Depends on whether they cooperate with the repayment plan. $65,000 is a lot of money, Sarah. The next morning, I arrived early at the cafe, choosing a quiet table. Amanda showed up right on time, looking anxious. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sitting down. I know you probably hate us right now. I don't hate you, I said. I'm angry, disappointed, and hurt. But I don't hate you. She wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, staring at it. We should have told you from the beginning. I wanted to. But Mark, he said you'd say no, that it would be better to prove it could work first. And you thought that was okay? Letting strangers into my home without my knowledge. No, she admitted. But we were desperate. The wedding put us in so much debt, and then I lost my job. Mark was just trying to find a way out. By stealing from his sister? Amanda flinched. He doesn't see it that way. He thinks because he was maintaining the property, managing everything, that gives him the right to profit from it. I shook my head. What about the legal risks? The liability issues? I know, she said quietly. I tried to tell him we needed insurance permits, but he said it would defeat the purpose if we had to pay for all that. I took a sip of coffee, studying her. How much of the money is actually left, Amanda? She hesitated. About $20,000. We've transferred the $15,000 we could access immediately. The rest? We used some for furniture, appliances, things we thought we'd need for the new house. The house you were planning to buy with stolen money? It wasn't, she started, then stopped herself. You're right, that's exactly what it was. I'm so sorry, Sarah. We got caught up in the plan, thinking it could help Mark at my expense. She nodded, tears forming in her eyes. What can we do to fix this? I pulled out the repayment plan Emma had prepared. We're proposing monthly payments with interest, how legally binding. Amanda looked over the document, her face falling at the numbers. It'll take years to pay this off. You spent the money in 3 months, I pointed out. Now you have to pay it back. She wiped her eyes. We'll sign it. I'll make sure Mark does too. No more excuses. Then my phone buzzed. It was a text from Mom. Family dinner tonight, non-negotiable. We need to talk. I showed Amanda. She grimaced. Mark told them yesterday. Your dad's not happy with either of us, I said. That night's family dinner was awkward. Mom served her famous lasagna, trying to ease the tension. Mark and Amanda sat across from me, looking uncomfortable. Dad sat at the head of the table, looking serious. Mom smiled, passing the salad. Shall we talk about the elephant in the room? Dad spoke first. Mark stole from his sister. End of story. Mark, Dad started, but cut him off. No, you don't get to explain this. What you did wasn't just dishonest, it was illegal. You could have gotten Sarah into serious trouble. Mom took Dad's hand. But he's going to make it right, Mark? We're signing a repayment agreement tomorrow, Amanda said quickly. Which wouldn't be needed if you hadn't stolen the money, Dad pointed out. The tension was thick. I pushed my lasagna around my plate, not really hungry. I don't understand, Mom said, looking at Mark and me. Why didn't you two just talk about it and share the profits? Make it a family business? Because it's my house, I said firmly. Not a hotel. Not a business. But you're never there, Mark muttered. That doesn't make it yours to use. Dad raised his voice. Would you want someone renting out your apartment without asking? Mark slumped. No. Then why did you think it was okay to do it to your sister? The room went silent. Finally, Mark spoke up, his eyes red. Because Sarah always fixes everything. She always has the answers, the money. I thought, maybe this time, I could be the one who figured things out. His words stung. Had I always been the one to fix everything for him? That's not an excuse, Dad said, his tone softer. No, it's not. I agreed. But maybe it's something we need to talk about. Amanda reached for Mark's hand. We'll make this right, no matter how long it takes. Mom dabbed at her eyes. So what happens now? Now, I said, Mark and Amanda signed the repayment plan. They pay back everything, and I look to everyone. We work on being more honest with each other. Dad nodded. And the beach house stays private, my sanctuary. Agreed, Mark said quietly. I'm really sorry, Sarah, for everything. For the first time, I believed him. It didn't erase what had happened, but it was a start. The rest of dinner passed quietly, the worst of it behind us. Afterward, Mom pulled me aside while we cleared the dishes. You're doing the right thing, she whispered. Maybe we should have done more of this when you were younger. I hugged her. Better late than never, right? She squeezed me back. Just don't give up on him completely. He's still your brother. I won't, Mom. I know. 6 months later, I stood on the deck, watching the sunset. The beach house felt like mine again, no longer filled with strangers. The repayment process wasn't easy. Mark and Amanda stuck to their plan, even working extra jobs. Mark drove for a delivery service, while Amanda got a better-paying job. They weren't rich, but they were sticking to their commitment. My phone buzzed with a text from Mark. Still good if we come by tomorrow to help with the maintenance? Amanda's bringing cookies. I smiled. This had become our new routine. Once a month they came to help with the property, not because I needed it, but because Mark wanted to make amends. Sure. I texted back. Come by at 10. Emma had come to visit for the weekend. Hard to believe all this happened, she said, handing me a glass of wine. Remember when you first called me about the listing? I smiled. I was so angry, ready to press charges, and now I thought about it, I think maybe this needed to happen. Not the betrayal, but the wake-up call for all of us. Emma settled into a chair. How so? Mark needed to learn there are consequences. I needed to stop being his safety net. Our parents needed to see the pattern they helped create. I watched the waves. We're all different now. The past 6 months have changed us. Mark's seeing a therapist, working on his issues with money. Our parents are more aware of their behavior, and I've learned how to set boundaries without cutting ties. The next morning, Mark and Amanda arrived right on time. Amanda brought the cookies, and Mark carried his toolbox. The deck railing needs work, I told him. And there's a loose board near the hot tub. He nodded, getting to work without complaining. As I watched him, I remembered something he'd said at the family dinner. She always fixes everything. It had taken this crisis for me to realize I couldn't always fix things for him. You're getting good at this, I said, impressed by how well he worked. Yeah, YouTube helps, he replied. I've been taking classes at the community college, plumbing, electrical work, thinking about getting certified and starting my own business. I raised an eyebrow. Your own business? After what happened with the restaurant? This is different, he said quickly. I'm not borrowing money. I'm learning first, building experience. Amanda called from the kitchen. Tell her about the business plan. Mark blushed. It's still an idea, but could you look it over when it's ready? You're better at planning. I saw a new side to Mark, one willing to learn from his mistakes. I'll be happy to look it over, I said, but only as a consultant, not an investor. He laughed. I've learned my lesson about mixing family and money. Later, as we sat around the kitchen island with coffee and cookies, Amanda mentioned, we've been house hunting. Nothing fancy, but we're saving for a down payment. That's great, I said, genuinely happy for them. How much more do you need? About a year of saving, Mark said, plus 18 months of repayments to you. But we're getting there. I thought for a moment, if you keep up the repayments and your work here, maybe we can discuss adjusting the interest rate, make it easier for you to save. Their faces lit up, but Mark's quickly became serious. You don't have to do that. We deserve the full consequences. Consider it a reward for being responsible, I said. You've stuck to the plan, helped out here. That should count for something. Amanda squeezed my hand. Thank you, Sarah, for everything. As they drove away, I thought about how far we'd come. The betrayal had hurt, but it led to a healthier relationship with my brother. My phone buzzed with a text from Mom. Still coming to Sunday dinner. Dad's grilling steaks. Wouldn't miss it, I replied. Family dinners had changed. They were more open now, sometimes uncomfortable, but always real. No more pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. That evening, I sat on the deck again, thinking about forgiveness. Not the easy kind, but the kind that requires work, change, and accountability from everyone. The sun set over the ocean, painting the sky in brilliant colors. My beach house was mine again, filled with new memories. My phone buzzed with one last text from Mark. Thanks for today, for giving me a chance to make things right. I smiled, typing back, that's what family does. The real kind, not the excuse kind. His reply came quickly. I finally know the difference.